Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroLada.com, and today I want to present you another beautiful, exceptional astrologer. Her name is Zuzana. Hello, Zuzana.
Hello, Ladi. Hello.
Great to have you. Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Slovakia.
Another Slavic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Zuzana came highly. I mean, people were writing to me from around the world and saying, "Take Zuzana, she's incredible." And she studied with Victor, and she studied a long time astrology. So I'm so excited to present Zuzana. And what are you going to talk to us about astrology today?
Thank you, Ladi. I would like to talk today about the Mercury because I have the feeling that there is not so much attention paid to this planet, except of the retrograde when the Mercury is in its retrograde motion. But otherwise, there is always so much talk about the Mars and Venus, and then so-called planets as Saturn and Pluto. People are usually either afraid or they have a big respect towards. So. And I've been studying a little bit Mercury also with the Babylonian astrologers, also with the Roman Kolev, and I've been collecting information from more sources. And I found it very, very powerful, not a weak planet. And I think it may give a person a lot of information about how to proceed information, how to learn, but especially how to use your voice. I call it the voice magic in the chart because it gives you so much information how you can express yourself. And it helps you also in your vocation. In ancient astrology, it was one of the most important vocation planets, if I'm not mistaken. So therefore, I find the mastery of your Mercury in the chart big help actually in all areas of the life, in all areas, not only in the way you talk, but actually it affects everything.
You're absolutely right. In ancient astrology, Mercury was the most important planet for personality, together with the moon. They did not look at the sun, it was just Mercury and the moon that they cared about. And nowadays, we really underestimate Mercury, but we live in a totally Mercury civilization. 90% of the jobs in Western countries are probably mercurial. They are connected to using some skill, whether it's driving a truck, whether it's using a laptop, whether it's doing administrative tasks, it's all Mercury. And I think it's probably the most important planet for one's career. You're absolutely correct. So let's give honor to Mercury, Hermes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And before I start with my presentation, I would share a little bit about the mythology, as you mentioned, Hermes, because there are actually two phases of Mercury. I want to explain before I start that in my readings, when I look at the Mercury, of course, I look at the where is it placed in the chart, so the house, the sun sign, the aspects, its dignity, but I also check, I use also Placidus system. I don't use only Western astrology, but I use also the Placidus system. So because I was a student of Roman Kolev, so I also look if the Mercury is visible or invisible during the time the person was born, also if it's a morning planet or evening planet. And as you mentioned, especially Roman Kolev, but I think this goes really to the ancient times. He connects the morning Mercury to Apollon, to the god of the sun and healing and music and the prophecy. And the evening Mercury, he connects to Hermes, so the god, the messenger of the gods, and the god of the travel and trade. So, and they have a little bit different expression. So to me, this is really fascinating that when I look at the chart and I see then the Mercury is before the sun, so it means it's a morning Mercury or it rises before the sun, then the person is here to illuminate some truth. It really has this energy of the sun. So it's more about the even divine connection, even some download of the information which are not so much based on the reasoning, as Hermes. Hermes is more about the intellectual mind and many smart people, even could be a little bit, trickster sometimes, because these people usually have so many talents for both faces of Mercury, but they have a little bit different flavor, I would say. The morning one is more about the download of the information. You don't need to.
More intuitive mind.
Yes, exactly. You don't need to study all the information. Of course, you need to study, but you can get a lot of, or you can connect the dots with your intuition. But the evening one, or the Hermes, let's say, characteristic of the Mercury is more about really studying and really going deep and learning new skills and using your language, your voice. The morning one is a little bit different, and usually people with the morning, I think you have morning Mercury, I think you have Apollon, I have the same, and I believe this one is more about bringing some light into something, like pointing the finger to certain topics or things, or really awaken people or help them to understand something or inspire others. The evening phase or Hermes is more about, for example, writing poetry or learning, teaching something, taking some courses, etc.
My
So
husband has
it's,
evening Mercury, comes after the sun. He's very good with numbers, with the trade, with
yes,
negotiation, with the
yes,
practical side of life. He's amazing.
yes.
He's very observant of what's around, while I'm more in my head. I guess the more, and I remember, as far as I remember, maybe we took the course together with you, with Rumen. He was
Yes,
saying that
yes,
ancients would see if someone is psychic through Mercury. The morning Mercury is more, you can still be psychic, but they could just judge by the position of Mercury, and there were quite a few positions of Mercury that can give you very specific qualities to the mind. So it's fascinating that you're bringing this up, because very few people talk about that, because very few people know it.
yeah, exactly. And even the mythology, when you're trying to find some information, there are some discrepancies, and it could be a little bit confusing, because some of the myths have the origin in the Greek mythology, and some are Roman, and later they were a little bit merged together. So even Apollon, as the morning Mercury, is Helios in another, from another perspective or another mythology. So and Hermes was connected literally to Mercury as the planet. So it's a little bit confusing, but what I want to say, they were actually brothers. And Apollon, he had these prophetic really skills. He was one of the first healers. He was the healer. That was the first time when some god or someone was healing another people. And he was also very handsome, athletic, very smart. There were so many statues of Apollon, and Hermes was his little brother, actually. And there is one story, I may make it very short, but there is one story that when Hermes was born, very soon after he was born, he was able to crawl out from the cave. He was born in the cave. And then he found the tortoise shell, and he put some string on it. And that was his first lyra. He was playing on the lyra. And so he had so many talents. And after this, he was little baby. He was able to get to the Apollon, and he had the head of the cattle there. He was guarding, actually, Apollon was guarding the cattle. And the little naughty Hermes decided he's going to steal it from Apollon. And there were 50 cows. He stole it from Apollon, but he was tricking him, because when he was trying to guide the herd, he attached the brooms to their tails. So there were no marks on the ground as the cattle was moving, and they were even going backwards. So when Apollo found out there is no cattle there left, he used his prophetic skills to figure out who stole it, and he found out that it was a little baby Hermes. But when he got to Hermes, didn't admit it was him. So Apollo had to talk to their father, Zeus or Jupiter, who was trying to save the situation. And little Hermes, he was scared of his bigger brother Apollon, but he didn't know what to do. So he started playing lyra, and everybody, even the old gods of Mount Olympus, they were so amazed by this sound, and so everything was forgotten and forgiven. But since then, and this was the first time actually Hermes showed how many talents he has, even since he was freshly born. And there is one more thing I want to mention, because there is a lot, and I don't want to stay here, but there is one more thing. I was fascinated when I found out about Hermes, that he was also ferryman for Hades, for the god of the underworld. So he was actually a conductor of the dead souls or dead people. So he was trying to bring those dead souls to some banks of the river, where Hades took them to the underworld. This is quite interesting information, because I would never connect Mercury as the planet to, but there is this aspect of the transportation. So he was ferryman, so he was transporting these souls, but he was communicating with Hades, or Pluto, we may say. So that's quite interesting.
Well, it reminds me the story how they describe morning Mercury Apollon and evening Mercury Hermes as they knew about the left and the right brain. It's almost like Hermes, the evening Mercury is like the more logical brain, and the morning Mercury Apollo is the other intuitive brain. I forgot which is the left and the right.
I have always problems with this also. because your right and left brain is connected to different body parts.
Yeah.
So
opposite sides, yeah. So yeah, that's fascinating. I guess if you have morning Mercury, you're more like the other side. The
more
left.
creative, probably more perceptive, and sometimes you don't want to study so much. I have morning as you, so I love studying. I think I will be studying my whole life, but sometimes I just connect the dots, Sometimes I hear from there, and I'm collecting the information. So, and people with the evening Mercury, they're really diligent, and really, they're so, it's almost, to me, or it reminds me a little bit a position of the Mercury in its natal placement, like in traditional, so in Gemini or in Virgo. It's more diligent to me.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Fascinating. Thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you. So I will, if I may, I would share my presentation. So I just share my screen.
So we're just getting started. Okay, that was just
yeah. That was just short intro, which crossed my mind. I didn't plan to talk about it, actually. Share screen. Okay. This one. And I think you don't have it on full screen, do you? Do you see it properly?
I see the file, edit, view, insert the ones as well.
Hang on. It should be okay now. Do you see it?
Still see it. I see it well. I still see the tools on top.
Oh, really? Do you?
Yeah.
Because I see it full screen. Hang on, I will stop it and I will try one more time.
But it's okay. It's quite visible. It's quite well to see.
Okay, one more try. Should be.
And I wanted, while you're doing this, because it's very rare to have a visible Mercury.
Yeah.
If you see at night, you'll very rarely see Mercury in the sky. It's probably maybe, I don't know, like 50 days of the year, up no more than that, Mercury is visible. And it's have you observed people with visible Mercury and seen a difference of those with invisible?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, I have from based on the chart I have been checking. Really, about 80% of the people had invisible Mercury.
Mercury, yeah, it's very rare.
Even those I thought they have visible Mercury, I was surprised when I found out they have invisible Mercury. So it's hard to say for me. Actually, I cannot. I didn't do enough research to tell you what I found out there. What's your opinion?
Well, to be honest, because it's very hard to know when someone has visible Mercury unless you have a very specific program, Rumen Kolev's program, and it's very hard to use. So I don't. I just know my daughter has visible Mercury, and she's just like, she learns languages, so she repeats, she pronounces very well. Mind is very fast. I know it's like a added bonus to Mercury, speed of the mind. And my son has invisible Mercury retrograde at that, and he can't pronounce his words so well. He's very bright again, intelligence, but it's very hard to express it, the intelligence, because Mercury is like the planet that helps you express whatever gifts you have inside. So at least that's what I've noticed.
Do you see my screen already?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So I will leave it as it is. I don't know if you see it properly. I hope so, but I will talk anyway. So as I mentioned before, I call the Mercury the voice magic in the chart. I'm not sure if it's spelled properly, but I want to say that it's really one of the crucial planets for me to express yourself. So okay, so when I read the chart, as I mentioned, I will check all the placement, all the dignity, the aspects. Even I work a little bit with the asteroids, so I even check when I see that the Mercury is in a close aspect or in the conjunction with the Pallas Athena or to Lilith as the asteroid. It adds an additional flavor to it. So when we talked at the beginning, we mentioned that the Mercury is related to communication and the communication style. It also talks a lot about how the one is processing the information. It gives the information about the way of thinking of the person. So, for example, Mercury in Aries has really a fast way of even thinking, even deciding, processing of the information. It is related also to the analysis. Also, it says a lot about the memory, of course. So if there is some debilitation of the Mercury, there could be some problems with the memory, and it needs to be trained. Intelligence of the person, of course, some skills, how the one is skilled and how the one is interested in learning new skills. Transportation, of course, if one enjoys to move freely from place to place. Your voice, literally voice, because Mercury is connected to your throat chakra. So I'm also a yoga teacher. So when someone wants me to give them a practical advice, how to, for example, when they're more shy and how to want to use their voice, I'm giving them some exercises to open throat chakra, as the ujjayi breath, which is opening the throat, or when someone has the problem with the nervous system, or they need to calm down, for example, position of Mercury in Aries, then we do nadi shodhanam, which is alternative nostril breathing. So they're actually bringing the harmony in the body through right and left brain, as we mentioned before with Ladi. And then it rules partially the skin, nerves, also the brain. But mostly when we talk about the Mercury, it's the hands and the shoulders, because it is connected to those skills. So people who have, for example, Mercury in Gemini, which is also its strong placement, is domicile position. That means that usually this person is really skilled, and they can produce everything or many things, and they're curious into learning new things. Also, it rules small objects as the keys, for example, administration, organization, your siblings. It was literally mentioned in the story, the mythological story between the Hermes and Apollo. They were brothers, but also as the ruler of the Gemini, it's ruling the third house, which is connected to the siblings and neighbors. Sales, of course, good placement of the Mercury tells you also about how capable you are to sell something and what ways you should use. Then any type of mail information, mail communication, coordination, even your physical coordination and your adaptability overall. So these are the basic information about what Mercury express in the chart, but there is a wide range of what it rules. It is usually connected to the small things. For example, Little Prince, written by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, was literally, even in the title, I think he had actually Mercury conjunction Moon in Leo in the 12th house. So it is great combination, Mercury Moon conjunction, for the intuitive expression in Leo, creative expression, and the 12th house of the Pisces traditionally. So very deep creative flavor and the talent of the person, even to create something behind the scenes. So as I mentioned before, we were talking about that it could have different characteristics or different phases. It could be visible, invisible. We mentioned that also. It could be direct or retrograde. Retrograde phase of the Mercury is about the 3 times of the year. And I will not talk too much about that, but it again, when the person has the retrograde Mercury in the chart, there is a certain specification, especially about first years of their life, like since they're born to the age of the 6 or even 10. Usually these people somehow remember the bridge, the life they came from to this life. So it's like they have certain memories. Sometimes they need some their own space to create. They're sometimes a little bit out there. They look out the window, or they want to create something. That's the best way for them, because they have this there is a memory connected to their previous lives. There is a whole book written about that. I don't remember the author, but it was very fascinating when I was reading about the retrograde phase of the Mercury, and how these souls are connected to those previous incarnations, or those words there, you know, the space or the angelic words they came from to this physical dimension. And then, of course, Mercury can be combusted by sun. That's usually when its placement is very close to the sun, especially I would say within 8 degrees. Then there is a special position of the Mercury. It's called Kazimi within 17 minutes. And it's something like the advisor of the king sitting on the lap of the king. Then it could be a part of the stellium formation. And again, it means that that placement of the Mercury is getting energy, is collecting energy from another planet. So it's affected, of course. And again, we need to take into consideration this information. Then, of course, it's a inner planet. It's categorized as the inner planet altogether with Mars and Venus. And according to Vedic astrology, there is a specific placement of the Mercury, and it's in the first house. It gives a lot of directional strength to the planet. Then, so it means these people. It means that these people may express themselves in the world when they close the door of their house. In a very mercurial way. They can actually use the Mercury as their strength. Then in the third, in the sixth, so of course, because it's the third is the traditional placement of the Gemini, and the sixth is the traditional placement of the Virgo. And that means that that's the domicile position for the Mercury. But also, according to the modern astrology, the Mercury is actually exalted in Aquarius. I have Mercury in Aquarius, and I must only agree with this. I really like.
Like Nicola Stojanovic also has Mercury in Aquarius.
Yes, exactly.
Very
And
intelligent, very almost like intuitive sometimes, like in a flash of lightning, they know things.
Yes, even Steve Jobs, for example, or Jim Carrey has Mercury in Aquarius.
So his zany sense of humor. There you go.
yeah, exactly. So you can see it's a little bit eccentric, extravagant in the expression. Even myself.
Mercury in Aquarius make me laugh a lot.
yes, exactly.
My ex-husband was Mercury in Aquarius. They have great sense of humor. Sometimes a bit rough, even. Like,
yes.
They won't spare you things. Yeah.
Sometimes I say something and I think it's funny, and people are not laughing at all because it's too rough, or or too dry. Or even when I'm talking to someone with this placement, I actually gave up to talk to some people because I know they don't get me. So I think a good advice for placement of the Mercury in Aquarius is really to find your tribe, to, for example, astrology community, or some scientists, or really to find the groups of the people or some tribe, because
you can make geeky jokes.
yeah, exactly. And people who understand what you're trying to say. Otherwise, it's quite, you feel like a UFO. So yeah. So, and then Mercury in Pisces and Sagittarius is actually in its detriment, or the weak position. But again, once the person understand and know how to express this energy, then they don't really need to worry about those labels. I believe that really once the person understand that, for example, in Pisces, they're great in the some virtual expression. They're great channelers, for example, or they're great in some sort of design, graphic
designers.
Yes, exactly. Or designing of the web pages, etc. Or writing.
Has it, and he makes videos. He's incredible. He makes music videos as a director and editing. So they're visual as well, very visual, artistic.
Yeah, absolutely. So once the person knows.
But if a Mercury in Pisces starts telling you a story, You either go into 5 different stories and you have to keep bringing them back. Get to the point, please. Or it will be some tall story that.
That's true.
But I love Mercury in Pisces.
That's true. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, yeah, a good point there. So I think we for the good placement of the Mercury, there are many, but with the Moon, it's a great position for the writers, even for the sellers, especially when they sell some property, or for people who work with the nutrition or dietaries or some sort of a body trainings, etc.
Astrology says that Mercury conjunct Moon or Mercury in trine to Moon makes the best doctors and healers.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like born for that. They're natural. They know how to diagnose intuitively as well, and to find the right treatment. Plus, ancient astrology, Jaimini says Mercury conjunct Moon or Mercury trine Moon makes, in trinal signs, makes some of the best writers. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen Mercury Moon conjunction and storytellers. They just grab you, because it's not just words they use, they impact your emotions, and they kind of make it very, I don't know, like an experience for you, reading their stories or listening to their stories. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And actually, as I mentioned, I think Exupery has the conjunction Mercury Moon, but I think also Leonardo DiCaprio, either conjunction or sextile or something like that.
And what's her name? Harry Potter that wrote J.K. Rowling has that Mercury with the Moon and Venus in Virgo.
I have also sextile between Mercury and Moon, and I think it helps a lot in the communication and the way I'm trying to talk to another people, because my Moon is in the 7th house, which are the another people or the others. So it's I think the access to another people, it's eased. It's there is a nice flow. So
there is also ability to predispose the other emotionally. What it's called, it's emotional intelligence that the Moon, Mercury gives. That's what it is like.
Absolutely. So I think I covered everything here. I don't want to repeat myself. There are some actually interesting information about the planet itself. It is known for the extreme temperatures, but it's even though it's the closest to the sun, it's not the hottest planet. The hottest planet is actually the Venus, not Mercury. So that's quite interesting. And then it doesn't have any moons or any rings, so it's pretty simple in its natural expression. Mercury is connected to Wednesday as the day, and even the word merchandise, to sell, is connected to Mercury. And before I come to the placement of the Mercury in different sun signs, I want to mention that one quite important information: Mercury and Sun in astrology are never farther than 1 sign apart. I think it's literally 28 degrees. And that means that that the power of the Mercury could be stronger, or its expression could be stronger, because also of the position of the sun, which is the soul's purpose, or the soul expression of the people. It's the case for many people, I would say, for the maybe majority of the people. So it's very natural. Then the person has the sun in, for example, in Aries, and also Mercury in Aries. So just to make it clear that many people have so significant expression of the Mercury, because also they have Sun, at least Sun as another planet placed there. So it gives extra strength, of course, to the expression of the planet Mercury. So now I would actually give you some information about the placement of the Mercury in different.
In ancient Vedic astrology, it says if you have the Sun and Mercury in the same sign, that house where they're in, because they use whole sign, becomes your best, where you're very most skilled at and best bet for best career. So that,
Yeah, and in your case, actually, I have different. I have Mercury in Aquarius and Sun in Pisces. So for me, it's not in the same sun sign. But for you, you have Mercury in Aries and Sun also, and you have a stellium of the planet there also. So you have really packed your, I think, third house.
this house media and video.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you're using it in the, I think, in the best way, you know, for yourself. So I believe it's truth what you just mentioned, that it gives you extra power there, and you should use it. So I added for each slide some short expression or a symbol or short word connected to the energy of the planet to make it easy for people to remember. Of course, there are many more possibilities, but for me, Mercury in Aries, I would easily say it's a sprinter, either literally or metaphorically, but it's in the way they express, they talk, they need to be, and usually they are direct, really direct, bold. Even they should not be afraid to say what they think. Sometimes when they react too fast, they need to learn, of course, to tame it a little bit, but it's their natural expression. It's and therefore I think many people are really attracted to these people, because they have this childlike magnetism and childlike, really pure expression. They are not afraid to say what they think. They say it as they feel it, and they're able to motivate. I think many motivational speakers have this placement because they're able to motivate others. I think that's their great strength, actually, in the way they express their energy, encouraging others. Yeah, sometimes the speech could be a little bit fast. So again,
Try a lot.
and loud, and loud also. They're competitive, I think, quite naturally. And persuasive also. There could be pushy sometimes, but again, it's when the person understands, okay, I have these tendencies, they always can regulate it and to work with it. But I love this placement. For me, it's because I have Mercury in Aquarius and it's ruled by Uranus. I think actually I understand why I like the position of Mercury in Aries. But it's, when you think about it, Aries are actually connected to a child, let's say in the first year of their life. It's the beginning of the chart. So I think for them it's really natural, and they should tell what they think. Their honesty and the way they're approaching others in the very direct manner, I think it's something quite rare nowadays, and I think it should be really valued and valued more. So and because they have these skills, I think they're great also in the bodily movements. So it's the connection of the Mercury. As I said, he was also athlete. It was connected to athletics. So they are able, there is a dynamic in the expression. So they're able to start really in a fast manner. There is a great start, great dynamic. Of course, they're sometimes they're not able to keep the pace or to run marathon. No, but for sprint and for sprinters or people who are doing were part of some startups companies or bringing some new ideas, because Mars as the planet, as the ruler of the Aries, is also connected to logic. So Mercury in Aries could use the logic, actually. It's intellectual. So they're great as entrepreneurs engineers, mechanics, of course, any fast-paced environment, as I mentioned, speakers, motivational speakers, coaches, all the areas when fast decisions are needed, leadership position, of course, and working with some ideas. I think when there's some part of the brainstorming, I think they can really come with the ideas. It doesn't mean they're able to carry on with them. Sometimes they need, you know, people, for example, with Mercury in Capricorn, for example, really to take it farther. But they're great in bringing some ideas.
Giving the idea. But they need someone else to implement it, for sure.
Absolutely. And even when I was looking at the people with the Mercury in Aries, like Al Pacino, and I mentioned there Steven Seagal or Kate Hudson, they have also great sense of humor. That's my opinion, especially Kate Hudson as an actor. And when I saw some interviews, I think she's quite funny, and she laughs a lot. But even the voice for Al Pacino, the way he's talking, he's quite, you know, his voice is strong, and he's even like a verbal expression with how he's using the hands. Of course, it is connected also to his roots, but I think quite strong voice and bold expression. Absolutely.
The humor is kind of a bit childish, a bit. Sometimes we have sexual innuendos.
Yes,
and
yes,
kind of
yes.
Slapstick humor, a bit childish, a bit rough, and it's just maybe they're funny because of the vigor that they put in it, and kind of it's not the most sophisticated humor, let's say.
That's true, but people laugh usually, you know, and it's I think they really like talking about the sex, you know, like a lot, and yeah, as you mentioned, quite direct, actually, even in those jokes, or when they say something, it could be for someone, it could be a little bit harsh or inappropriate, yeah, but yeah, it's nice. It's a lot of energy. They bring a lot of energy in whatever they do or whatever they say. I think that's one of the biggest, actually, strengths for them. The energy, people feel it. So I will move to Mercury in Taurus. I called this placement sensualist because when I was observing some people with this placement, they fascinate me because there is a lot of calmness. Even though people say that in general the Taurus as a sun sign is a fixed sign, so people say they're quite stubborn. But when I observed people with Mercury in Taurus, in their expression and the communication when they talk to someone else, there was some softness, or the ability to they're moving slowly, or they're quite receptive, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. So this combination is quite really sensual, artistic. When we connect the Mercury as the hands, I think they're great in doing some therapy, like massage, or really working with the skills, where they're using senses. Because they're gentle, they're receptive, they're practical. Usually their favorite theme are themes related to food. At least those Mercury in Taurus I observe, or money, the most common topics. And then another things for them even great as the therapy, or when they need to find some peace in their life, is to walk in the woods, to go outside and connect to the nature, because Taurus is connected to the nature. So walking out, breathing fresh air, connecting to the nature, going out where there are green surroundings. This is great, even for the meetings. When they go outside and they have some business meeting, if the circumstances are allowing it, it's great to have the meeting outside. Then, of course, the artistic expression, any poetic artistic expression. When they really fight with someone, they're quite stubborn. That's true. When they fight and they're absolutely sure about their truth, they're pretty stubborn, and they smile on the face. They're not really aggressive in the way they talk to you, but they don't move in the argument. And they're very connected to the values and principles and the morals. So when they're, in some fight, and this is connected to their values or their morals, they don't move. They stay where they are, typically. So the best actually areas for them, for the career, it's to work, to have job connected to environment. Actually, my boyfriend, he has Mercury in Taurus, and he was studying on the university environment. So it's literal there, and he didn't know about astrology before, but it was his choice. So they're really connected to environment, to nature, as I mentioned, to anything valuable, to any values and money. What I like about them, they have a quite calming voice. And one of the great tools how to improve the life, except of the walking out in the nature, is breath control, pranayama. Any pranayama practice, if they need to, for example, a little bit to increase their metabolism, because they can, especially when there are more placements in the Taurus, they could be sometimes a little bit slower or a little bit more lethargic. For them, long-term goals are much better, and to keep the discipline and to go step by step are much better and more suitable than fast results. And breath control, especially those breathing techniques which as a Bastrika or Kapalabhati, which increase the fire in the body, it can help them to increase their metabolism, to make it faster. So they're not so stiff, because those fixed signs, and the position Mercury in the Taurus is in fixed sign, sometimes have the tendency to be fixed upon something, and it could be anything, and that may affect their bodily movement. So it's good to give them a little bit of the push, and it could be through the breath control. Also, the food industry is a great area for them. Usually these people either like to cook, and they could be one of the best chefs, but also many of them, if they don't cook, they like to eat. So, and they enjoy it in a big way. It's a great position also for any type of consulting jobs, being consultant of any type. Then for beauty industry, and is again connected to the ruling planet Venus, connected to Taurus. Then any fields related to security and stability and five senses, and I mentioned it before. So now I will move to the placement of the Mercury in Gemini. As I mentioned before, this is a domicile position of the Mercury. I call this position the mentalist. And there is one movie, actually, it's called Mentalist. I don't know if it's also known all over the world or in some countries, but it's a guy who is an investigator, and he has very, very sharp mind. And to me, this is really what's displacement of the Mercury about. Really fast thought processes, and these people usually are multi-talented, and they need to actually their problem could be eventually that they're so talented, they know so many skills that, for example, for career, it could be a little bit difficult to choose the one which is the best for them to do one thing. So it's for them, they need to a little bit to ground themselves to again, when I talk about the throat chakra and connection to the throat, for them the best are calming exercises, and again anuloma viloma or nadi shodhanam, the alternative breath, which a little bit calms down the nervous system. They have strong communication skills, so the best are media fields for them, or languages. They're great translators. Usually they're working as the freelancers because they like to be a little bit independent in what they do. Many actors has this placement because of the memory is also working very well. They have very strong memory. Also, because the Gemini is connecting to the third house, that means that third house is naturally connected to communication, to marketing, to social media. So all these fields are perfect. They can become a self-made person. They could have two names, one real one and one they use as either for the business purpose or as they could be even anonymous writer or something like that. Perfect interviewer. They're naturally very curious. They have very curious mind. So they want to learn here and that. So that's why they love to interview another people. They love to talk another people. Also in the sales, again, because of their very strong communication, they're great in asking questions. They're very intellectual. As I mentioned, nervous tension could be a little bit of the problem, but they're smart enough to find the ways how to calm it down. Angelina Jolie has this placement, for example, and you can see she's very intelligent. Tom Cruise, and he was acting in Mission Impossible, and he was actually showing many skills there, literally. So and therefore I used for this one for the presentation the chess, because of the high intellect and the ability to use it practically in the life. Then the Mercury in the Cancer, I call it patriot for the purpose of this presentation. And some of the famous people who have this placement, for example, Nicole Kidman, she played in the Australia. I don't know if you saw this movie, but she's originally Australian. And in this movie, the whole movie was about the horses and the land of Australia. She was trying to actually protect. And then Donald Trump, when you hear how he talks and what he's talking about, he's very patriotic. He talks also a lot about the family and the families, or about the real estates, which is also connected to Cancer. Princess Diana, I think she's quite typical expression of the Mercury in Cancer, in the way how familiar people people felt towards her, and familiar feeling and the expression of the feelings when someone talks to another people. It could be a little bit nostalgic, these people, or they could go a lot to the past. They can talk a lot, as I mentioned, about the family members, or they can talk to dogs because Cancer is also connected to dogs. Emotional, sensitive, empathetic expression, history. They could be interested in the history, to the roots. They could be interested in searching for their roots and finding out some information. Very receptive. They can listen to another people, actually, and therefore jobs related to feelings and to empathy, or to the housing and protecting others are great for them. Also cooking, because moon is connected to the body. It rules the body, or the food, and then caring about others. This placement is great for a family business, for any type of nursing, parenting, even being in the fields of a professional caretaker and a professional parent, naturopathy, and any type of herbs, studying herbs, working with herbs. A real estate, as I mentioned, historian, home office, working from the home, literally, because Cancer is connected to the fourth house and to homes and houses. Being a group, or running a civic association, which is concerned about certain hobbies or certain activities of the people. Also interior design, hospitality business, any type of hospitality business, actually. So this was, and therefore I used the picture of the roots, really deep and beautiful roots of the tree, because Mercury in Cancer likes to go deep and is connected a lot to the roots and to the people. They, even if those people are not a part of their family, it's connected to the people they consider their family. So, and therefore I mentioned those associations as a civic association, because they can actually create a deep emotional bond with another people, and they're talking to the people in caring way. Then Mercury in Leo, it's the expression of the Leo in a creative, of the Mercury in a creative way. I call it a performer, because when I think about some people with displacement, as Cameron Diaz, Courtney Love, Andy Warhol, all those people were quite visible in their expression or in their performance, and joyful. That's one of the characteristics of this placement, unless Saturn is for example, close to the or in conjunction to the Mercury, but they're pretty joyful. They may laugh a lot and make jokes, or even their art. For example, for Andy Warhol, there's so many colors. So this vividity, this life around that energy is very strong. Dramatic, they could be dramatic. They're drama queens to me sometimes. I know some people with displacement and they can exaggerate something, but of course they're very creative, entertaining, funny. They have also a similar childlike expression, very similar to Mercury in Aries, because it's also a fire sign, but this one is fixed, so it's a little bit, it's not so persuasive. It is doing things in a more entertaining way. Sometimes even there is a lightness, a lot of lightness around these people. charming. They have natural charm. Usually, as you see on this picture, this lady, even in her expression, she has this very charming, actually, performance with the hair and the red lipstick and a ring. So it's playful. And even when you look at her, what she's doing with her hand, Mercury, it rules hand and then the arms. Even royal, in the expression of the person, this placement can give them a little bit like a royal expression. There is certain either pride or when they talk, it's either creative, poetic, or when they perform, there is something really stunning about them. Business is in the high position because Leo is the king, so they want to express or to use their language, their communication as the kings and the queens, really from the high position. There is a usually very natural authority and the respect for these people, and they're great on the stage. So the best careers for them are writing, publishing, fashion. Many times they're in the fashion industry. Again, it's connected to these lights, and to this it's sun energy. So they want to really be noted by another people. Visual arts, TV media, again, it's connected to this being on the spotlight. Any ball sports, because Leo is connected to the ball. So, for example, football players, CEO of the company, any type of the personal performance, holidays, and this holiday is connected to Leo because again there is some lightness. It's traditionally Leo is connected to the fifth house, and it's the energy which wants to play, which wants to bring some lightness, even working or perform with children. Because it's childlike energy, acting, being actor. Then we can move to another one, Mercury in Virgo. I call this one a perfectionist. When you see some astrologers, many astrologers have this position. They're so diligent. They go step by step. They don't jump from topic to topic, as for example my Mercury in Aquarius. They're very organized, diligent, famous people with this placement. For example, Freddie Mercury. I love Freddie, and I was studying a lot about him and reading. I think I haven't found the chart with the precise time of his birth, but he has Mercury in Virgo placement, and I think even his name, Freddie Mercury, was because he wanted to use the energy of the Mercury in his expression, and he was perfectionist in his expression. And when he was preparing, when he was on the stage, he took it seriously. And then Madonna, another perfectionist, I think, in her career, and also Hugh Grant. You can even notice with people who have Mercury in Virgo, they have some special body movements. Either they're really winking moving their eyes really, really fast. As a Hugh Grant, he's doing this. I don't know if you ever noticed, or they have some sort of like because Mercury is connected to the movement, so they have certain things they're doing, and usually those things are small things, what they're doing with their hands, etc. So it's worth to observe. They're naturally very analyzing and critical. And it can go both ways. They can be critical to others, but also towards themselves, like self-critical. it's okay if it's in the healthy way, but of course it's good to pay attention to it and not to become too critical, too judgmental, or either way. Then meticulous, organized, as I mentioned before, could be a little bit controlling. Again, in the career, it's perfect, this expression, but in everyday life, it's good to be careful a little bit, not to control everything and everybody, and a little bit to relax. Usually these people, in the way they express, are quite humble. So that's the most typical expression for them. Pretty clear in their communication, and that's their interest also. But as I said, sometimes they could be so detailed and so specific about everything that it in the worst case it could become a little bit boring. So they're quite serious when they teach something or when they learn something. I think it doesn't hurt anybody to sometimes to bring some fun, or to not to be so serious, because otherwise the audience may lose the interest. Detailed oriented, of course. For them is great to use sheets or some sort of lists. They're very organized, perfect for assistants, for example. They love making notes when they're learning something. Their favorite topic usually is lifestyle, diet, and hygiene. Hygiene especially, what I observed within my clients and my friends. So therefore they're great for admin jobs, cleaning services. They usually like to clean and to have everything on the right spots. Nature and pets. They love pets. They're great editors to correct the mistakes, even if it's not their profession. If you ask your friend who has a Mercury in Virgo to correct something, they will be very happy. Some sort of training jobs because of their structured way. Then some sort of research and analysis, holistic healing, and there are actually many doctors among Virgos and Pisces, because it's the opposite dynamic, but it's related. So both could be very good healers and doctors. Professional assistant, as I mentioned, and composer, because they're able to look to details. They're able to study something into details. So therefore I use this picture of the girl who has all these measures on her glasses, because they can go really deep. Then Mercury in Libra, I call it trader, because Libra is traditionally ruled by Venus, and connection Mercury in Libra placement is great for a person who is able to get a fair deal for everyone. So except of Joaquin of Phoenix, I mentioned there, I think another person who crossed my mind who has this position is Bill Gates, and then Vladimir Putin. And when you look at those people and you listen to them, how they talk, there is something, they're quite calm when they talk. They're very smart to listen, also to backstep, also to give the space to another side, another party, and there is some calmness around them when they talk. So they're good. I believe they're good in partnership, because they have the gift for diplomacy. Mercury and Libra are great traders, because the other party has the feeling when they communicate together, they get a fair deal, that it's their two partners were meeting and they have the equal position. So they're very good with words. Again, there could be also some creative or artistic connection. Because they're trying to find a balance through communication. So it's perfect position for the trade. Also working in the beauty, they can easily use their hands to create something beautiful, or to work with the skin or in the beauty industry. Fairness and law, they could be great lawyers with this position, because they're always striving for the fairness. Their expression, their manners are very professional, charming. They're naturally charming and the professional. Team spirit, they're perfect to work with the teams and in the collaborations or cooperations, and art, as I mentioned before. So all the jobs where they create certain harmony, or they work with a law or commerce as advisors, artists, and it could be also great makeup artists, to jobs where they work with the business contracts, literally contracts to sign some documents between two parties, using their charm to work with another people, and then working with the public. So being on the public eye because of their professional expression, because how they look, because how they talk, because how they're able to be in the effective communication with another people, any type of life coaches or advisors. Then Mercury in Scorpio, I call this one hypnotized. And it's because naturally Scorpio has this poker face. They have this, sometimes they don't show the emotions. You don't see it on the face. And Mercury in Scorpio, in their expression, could go very deep. You could if they don't want, you cannot read their mind or what or their emotion, and they love taboo topics. So and they love really dig deep. So therefore they're great in any investigation or investigate something, or even work with some hidden things, or occultism, or some trauma, or really trying to find the root of the cause. And it could be psychological or investigative way. So famous people with this position is Julia Roberts. And sometimes when you saw some interviews with her, she could be quite sarcastic, there is and she was a pretty woman. She was acting as a prostitute in the movie. So Scorpio is connecting to the sexuality. So Mercury in Scorpio. Then Demi Moore, again, striptease. Mercury, the movement, the bodily movements, and in a Scorpio. And she's quite, Demi Moore, she's quite mystical, or even I would say, when you look at her, you cannot really read her. And then Luciano Pavarotti, Mercury in Scorpio, the ability to transform. Scorpio, your voice, Mercury. So I believe Luciano Pavarotti had to train his voice a lot to be able to get so high scale, so big scale of the voice capacity. So and he's using the voice to really deeply, Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, going to the depth, and it affects his audience and other people. So it can be, as I mentioned, it can be in the way they talk, sarcastic a little bit, or really pressing some sensitive buttons, because they're great psychologists. So when they know the another person and they want to bring a little bit of the steam to the conversation, they exactly know what to say. and they could be a little bit calculated and manipulative. It's great actually for some fields as politics. I think this is quite common position. Then penetrating. They, as I mentioned, love taboo topics. Money and power themes are quite common, all together with sex. Then psychology, strong presence. They have strong presence. These people, when you saw them, when you see them, there is something very magnetic about them. Suspicious. They can be suspicious. They don't trust people easily. I'm not sure if they ever are able to trust fully another person. So therefore, there is always a plan B, or they're trying to dig some information. Even they can check your Facebook account or social media before they meet you, when they know your name and the surname. So the best fields for them is psychology, investigative jobs, money and banking industry, politics, any type of therapy. Therapy when, for example, as the regression therapy, or past life regression, or even a Reiki, or some sort of healing. But I would say it's more connected to overcoming, or themes when the person overcame some sort of trauma, really going deep and not being afraid of dark topics or taboo topics. High endurance fields. So because of the transformative power of the Scorpio, they're able to endure a lot. So even physically, when they're sportsmen, those fields where you need to go beyond your limits, and you have the space to regenerate, because your body is pretty regenerative, then those are great fields for you. Also privacy, working with the privacy, and being in the powerful position in overall. Then the position of Mercury in Sagittarius, it's connected to exploring a mind. So I call it this one explorer, because these people are really want to explore everything and every country, and they want to read, and they want to meet people from the different cultures, from different countries. Among the famous people, there is, for example, Henry Charrier, and he wrote Papillon. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it was a book about I loved it. It was my first book, probably like the book for adults I read when I was around 13 years old. And it's about the man who was imprisoned, but he was not guilty of this crime. I think he was accused of the murder, and he was supposed to stay in the prison his whole life, but actually he escaped the prison. So Henry Charrier wrote this book, and it was about the because the Sagittarius is its ruling planet is Jupiter, so it was about undying optimism of the person to move forward in the life, not to be lost in the circumstance, and to find the optimism and drive to move forward. So he escaped, and then he lived somewhere, I think in Venezuela, where he lived in the tribe. So this story is a great example of the position of the Mercury in Sagittarius. And Britney Spears, Mercury in Sagittarius, and again, in her expression, she's a little bit like bigger than the world when she was on the top of her career. And on the outside, her image on the outside was very optimistic and cheerful, and people from all over the world loved her. So very outgoing personalities, love to explore and travel. pretty natural there for those people. Idealistic, they have so big ideas, you know, they never give up in their ideas and how they perceive the world. They see everything in a big pictures. And they may exaggerate something because Mercury is actually the lower mind and Sagittarius is ruled by the Jupiter, and that's the greater mind. So sometimes there could be the tendency in the way they express the energy that they exaggerate, or they're not able really to focus on the concrete details. So they need to be a little bit careful about this. They may have the tendency to talk a lot, and it's very social position for the person. So they have mingled a lot in the international community. Therefore, one of the best jobs for them is actually international affairs, teaching, preaching, publishing, for sure. Any travel fields, philosophical themes, working with the public, any charity, working with the justice, being known for something, because Jupiter as a planet is connected also to the famous people, or again people who are bigger than the world, literally. Export import, Jupiter is, as I mentioned, is connected to the ninth house traditionally, and the 12th also. So it connects faraway countries to the person's life. So export import, perfect. And any type of higher wisdom. They love to actually to fly above a little bit and to look at the world from the higher perspective. And to bring this, they have the gift to bring the higher perspective to another people. So and they can share it. They have the ability, when they're teaching as the teachers, they have the ability to give the student the information they perceived from the international community. Even if the student doesn't speak any other languages except their local language, that person is able to process this information and to give it to this person to understand and to inspire this person eventually to go abroad and to explore by himself. Then the Mercury in Capricorn. I call this one the strategist because these people are perfect, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and these people are able to climb wherever they want with their naturally strategic mind. When they talk in their expression, they can be a little bit rigid and a little bit dry or slower, or they could be eventually, when they're a little, there could be sometimes a speech impediment, or they could be very happy to be quiet. So these are natural things for them. Some famous people with this placement, Stephen Hawking. And Stephen Hawking, as you know, he was a scientist, and he observed the cosmos a lot. And he had this disease, I don't know the name exactly, but he could not talk. And it was getting worse and worse as he was getting older. And then he had this machine. He was typing, I think, it was connected to his brain, if I'm not mistaken, or to his hand, I'm not sure. But he had this limitation in his speech, but he was sending the message almost until he died to the audience, to the whole world, basically. So even because he was limited, he was actually keeping his goal on track to spread the information to people based on his research or based on his own hard work. Then Anthony Hopkins He is sometimes a little bit dry, you know, in his expression. Mel Gibson also quite serious. Even the movies he was been producing quite serious, some of them. So the expression is really usually constructive, practical. They love to talk about some big projects and big goals, to the point, very serious, mature, if not serious, then mature, educated in professional manners, usually a slower pace when they talk, and sometimes there could be pauses when they talk. They stop for a while, they think, they collect the information, then they continue. And as I said, dry expression. So what is the great career for them? Usually sportsmen, yeah. And the sports, when these people are able to focus on the strategy, long-term goals, and overcoming certain obstacles. That's why I use for this one the picture of the climber, of the rock climber, because they laugh. This is perfect for me, for expressing this energy as the strategy's energy, because they think, they look, they need to think where is the next move, what to do, and how to move forward a little bit to be able to achieve their goal. High rank positions, governmental positions, because they're quite respected, and when they talk, they're quite serious. So many times other people respect them, or are even afraid a little bit. Individual hard work, they're perfect for individual work. They're very self-reliant, and they don't need anybody else to breathe on their shoulder to check what they do. Any type of crisis and conflict management, any type of jobs where they're able to achieve tangible results. They love to see what they achieved. Banking, investment management, property management, of course, then landscaping, because Capricorn is also connected to the earth. It's earth, cardinal earth sign. So being a pioneer, or being the first in some sort of the landscaping project, or being the best. And then business executive, they love to take responsibility on their shoulders when they express something, or when they trade something, or when they cooperate with someone. They're not scared of responsibility. Then Mercury in Aquarius, I call this one scientist. We talked with Ladi a little bit before, but I just mentioned Daniel Craig is also another one who has this, one of the last James Bonds. I didn't really like him too much. Again, you can see he's a little bit out of the box. He is not a typical James Bond. He's in his expression. Sometimes he surprise when he talk, even in the interviews. The first feeling that he's a little bit dry, and then he starts laughing or expressing something, some emotions. So it's the energy you cannot really categorize easily. Marilyn Manson, you can see it literally in the way the singer, you can see it literally in the way he express as he wants to be heard from another people. A little bit, even the voice, it's a little bit screamy, a little bit weird, a little bit high. Then Axl Rose, I think he's from Guns N' Roses, or he was. So again, very, very high voice and a little bit screamy. So these people have really, because the Aquarius is ruled by, actually we can say, two planets. One is Saturn. So again, there is this ability to strategize and to plan. But another one is Uranus. So it's out there, out of the box, very visionary. And when you look at these balls, it's actually ability of the person to combine or to merge future and the past. So to merge some visions with some traditions. This mind is able to put the dots together. Really to see the patterns. That's why it's great position, I believe, also for astrologers or any people actually who work in some sort of either with the technologies or with the visionary in the visionary fields, or in some IT industry, in some fields where they can use their almost genius mind. So they have also, when they talk, they can use a lot some sort of symbolic or metaphoric language in their expression. They use it a lot, or they say something at the beginning of their speech to bring the attention of the audience, and then later they carry on. Electrical also, they're electrical in their expression, rebellious. They can shock you when they say something, pretty inconsistent. They can jump also from theme to theme. This is not only Pisces. Pisces sometimes get lost really when they're talking about something, but this one is also pretty inconsistent. They don't have a when you see me and when you hear this presentation, I don't have, even though I prepared everything, I don't go consistently. That I start with the for example, with actors, then I carry on with the expression, and then I go to the job. Sometimes I jump a little bit, you know. So that's quite typical. Using devices, they're great with devices and any sort of instruments which help them to express the energy. Aquarius are actually collectives or the groups of the people, so they're great when they, for example, using some devices and they talk to certain groups of the people. They could be quite indirect. They not necessarily talk a lot about the emotions, but there could be a little bit indirect, but still very friendly. Their favorite topic could be science, cosmos, of course, any type of inventions, alternative things like alternative medicine, for example, or alternative source of the energy, etc. So those possible talents or career paths are information technology, science and research, working with certain patterns, yeah, and it's great also for astrology, internet, social media, also fighting for equality for certain groups of the people, any type of humanitarian fields or activism, working with uniqueness, even in the, for example, in a fashion industry, cutting something in a specific patterns again. Freelancing, they love to be freelancers. They don't like to be in the way they express or in the way they want to express. They don't want to be put in the box. They want to go out. And any type of higher education, because they want to expand, they want to look into the future. It's more expanding of the mind is more connected to Mercury in Jupiter, in Sagittarius. Sorry, Mercury in Aquarius is more about looking into the future. They want to look into the future. And at the last, as the last one, I have Mercury in Pisces. I call this one mystic, because as we mentioned a little bit at the beginning with Ladi, it gives to the expression of the person either a little bit mystical voice, or when they talk, they either a little bit more quiet, or you feel there is certain mystery around their aura when they talk about something and you're curious, you want to hear more. For example, Sharon Stone, one of the like most sexy actresses of all times, and she was acting in the Basic Instinct, and it was pretty sexual, but also there was a lot of mystery, and there was an investigation ongoing. So, and she was this sexy, but this pure sexiness, a really sexy, smart woman, and very mystical. So, and that was her tool to increase the interest of her persona in those investigators. Then Victor Hugo as the writer, Rudolf Steiner, and Charles Darwin. So these people, especially last two, were the people who were able to express, to study, to learn, to search, to express, to send further the information which were far beyond the masses or the rational mind. They were able to investigate, to search, to learn, to download even. I believe that you need some angels, or you need some support from the another worlds to be able to do such work as Rudolf Steiner and Charles Darwin were able to bring to the world. Charles Darwin, especially with his evolutionary theory, and Rudolf Steiner with his anthroposophy and other fields related to psychology and other topics. So this is a gift to go beyond the rational mind, and to use your different pictures, channeling and meditation to increase your ability to work with the information you're getting. So the expression is, the way they talk is very, as I said, poetical, mystical, sometimes dreamy. They can be lost even when they listen to you. They're like, yeah, I listen, and they're lost somewhere. Or even when they talk, spiritual, they love spiritual themes. Could easily lose the track, as I mentioned before. Imaginative, many of them, they have great photographic memory. For them to learn something, one of the best ways are through pictures and some sort of visions. Very sensitive and very good listeners. But as I said, sometimes they can get lost even when they listen to you. They're somewhere in their dreams. And but soothing, very soothing personality, healing. Actually, even their presence can be healing itself. So where they use their talents the best is in any fields related to creativity and design, channels, healers, psychology, any spiritual fields, basically. Because Pisces is without limits, so they're great in any type working with the illusion or creating stories, even fairy tales, charity service without limits. Again, sometimes they need to be careful to set the boundaries. Working with the animals, any sort of animal rescues, any sort of the fields related to healing and doctors, healers, etc. Working with the underprivileged people, any type of creative fields, writers, one of the best, actors, dancers, because Mercury is the movement, and Pisces is mystical. So again, they can even do some healing through the dance and teach it another people. Singers, musicians, and singers, because again, their voice could be a little bit without limits, really from another worlds, either very high because of the Jupiter, the traditional ruler, could give the really large scale of the voice, but Neptune very healing and like from another worlds, literally. So that's it from my side. I'm sorry it was too long. I didn't plan to make
no,
it.
thank you so much. It was so in depth. It was a whole lecture. You
Thank you.
Of your time. Thank you so much, Zuzana. Please welcome Zuzana to the AstroLada team. You're offering readings and
Yes.
readings. I guess there is a reading connected to Mercury.
Yes, I'm offering at the moment. I would be happy if the people would order this one, because I guarantee you that you get a lot of information from the Mercury itself. And at the end, I would like to mention also that sometimes we complicate things too much, that we look at the career, we consider second, sixth, 10th house, north node, part of the fortune. And sometimes it's enough to make it simple. Really look at the way you communicate, you express, and you can get it. And you don't need to search too much. So even from this 30-minute reading related to Mercury, you can understand how to live actually all area of your life and use your biggest potential there.
Thank you so much, Zuzana. A wonderful soul.
Thank you,
Great
Ladi.
knowledge for sharing. Wishing you good luck. I hope the right people connect to you, maybe to discover the vocation.
I
Or-
hope so.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank you, Ladi.
wonderful day, and see you very soon again with another great presentation. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
joining us.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.